Hey everyone, good morning. It's Mary here with Braving Midlife Discussions, and today's topic is the FFT. And for those of you that don't know what the FFT was, I didn't make it up, so I can't take credit for it. It's from the brilliant Brene Brown, who first came up with this term, or at least the first time that I heard this term was when she started her podcast. And the podcast came out as she was freaking out about doing something for the fucking first time. And it happened to be her podcast. And she was full of anxiety and what are other people going to think? And I'm not good enough for this. And who's going to listen to me? And why would anyone want to join in and hear this? So it was all about these feelings that came up for her about doing something for the very first time, and how our brain like immediately can take us on a trip down this self-deprecating thoughts of worthiness or vulnerability, as Brene Brown often likes to think about. So I thought, I talk about this a lot in my workshops. I talk about it in um, with my clients. So it's something that's very near and dear to me because there are so many times in my life that, hey, Laura Lee, there are so many times in my life that I uh, just busted through, or better yet, the times in my life where I got stuck, right? And what does, when we get stuck, what happens? Like, we're reverting back, we end up on this hamster wheel of, I'm not good enough. Uh, like, I'm not good enough, like, why me? Or that's for those people. And quite honestly, those kind of thoughts they're just not true. They're just not true. Hey, Terry. I got it this time before I called you Diane. You're on mute.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
forgot I do need to change that.
No worries. No worries. So I was just going off about what this FFT has meant to me in my life, and how I actually am so grateful for Brene Brown speaking up about this, and how how easy it is for us to get stuck or think that this is for somebody else, that this dream that I have or this thing that I want to do, well, that's simply for somebody else. It's how quickly we can come up with an excuse that we believe is like is real, when it's not. It's just a placeholder for us to be able to cop out of what it is that we say that we were going to do, and then all of the sudden we can't do it. Oh my gosh, the grandkids need me. Oh my gosh, I have to go help my mother out. Oh my gosh, I got to go do something, when really they're just excuses for not putting ourselves out there, like not trying something for the first time. I came up with a good quote for today. Is I thought that this was brilliant, because this is really speaks so much to the FFT, which is, when you are present, when you are present, like here, like right now, when you're present in your thoughts, the future holds no fear. So when we're present, we're trying to do something for the very first time, and all of the sudden we might take that first step, or uh, open our computer, for instance, to do a recording, or write a contract with somebody that we've never worked with before, or try to close a deal or close a sale or whatever it is, and we go to make that movement for the very first time, if we are not present in the moment, all of a sudden the mind will take over because of that fight or flight response that creeps up so quickly. And all of a sudden, all of these thoughts from the past, from past experiences, come flooding in to say that there's a reason that we shouldn't do this, like danger. I talk to my grandkids all the time about stranger danger, right? So all of a sudden, these thoughts come up about danger, like something's bad going to happen. What if this goes bad? I'm going to get embarrassed. What are other people going to think about me? How are they going to judge me, criticize me? All of these thoughts, if we were present in that moment, that stops. If you can, I love the pause. I'm crazy, like a crazy nutcase person about pausing before you do anything. Because in that moment is the only time that we get to choose. And so you have a choice right in that moment. But if you have already gone down that rabbit hole of life, you don't have a chance to say, I can do this for the first time. Because if I hadn't had that thought, then this thought, this dream, this wanting of something different is for you only. Because if you hadn't had that thought, then what you are about to do isn't for you. But because you had that thought, this was planted for you only, with your background, with your skills, with your wanting, with your expertise, with your uniqueness. That wanting of whatever it is that you want, a thing, a relationship, a way of being, a move, that already is yours. It's already like waiting right here for you to step into. It's right there. It's almost like you could touch it if you would dare to put your hand into it, or your big toe into it. It's right there. And you may get kicked out the first time that you try it. You may get the fear or the lack thinking may be so overwhelming that you get thrown out. But that still, it doesn't mean that it's not for you. It just means that it's time to approach it from a different way. Or what did you learn about that getting thrown out? What did you learn about the tripping or the failing? Because if when we're not present in trying something for the first time, when we're not present, our mind goes into confusion, brings up all these past experiences of, oh, I have proof that you can't do this. I have proof that you're not worthy enough, that it's not your time. But that's when you need to look at when a confused mind always says no. Always. There's never a time when a confused mind can work itself out of confusion by itself. And when you go into confusion, what's really happening is that your file cabinet, I think I like the visual, of a file cabinet in the back of my head, and it's just like my mind is just, there's this little munchkin person in my brain, like just going through these files of, see, look at this image, look at this image, this is why you can't do this. When that image, that thing, that experience, that memory that I have doesn't have anything to do with this present moment. And if I can slam shut that file drawer and think about where I am today, how far I've come, the person that I am. I'm not the person I was when I wasn't even the same person that I was yesterday, just from the experiences that I have already had. So what is it that you want out of today? Because today is all we have. The past has lessons for us. The past has shown us that we got here. We're here. We didn't get here without some shit happening to us. We didn't get here without some amazing experiences, some amazing wins. We didn't get here without stumbling, without some embarrassments. Oh my God, if I could write a book for all the times in my life that I have been embarrassed, it would be, it would be as thick as a dictionary, for Pete's sake. The times that I have fumbled in my life, and still, you just got to, it's just a lesson. It's just something that it's like a dress rehearsal. I like to think of life as a dress rehearsal, or I often talk about the book, The Emperor's New Clothes. Like, he puts on this cape, and all of a sudden he becomes this different person. Well, you actually already are that person, if you'd only allow her to come out. If you'd only allow her to see the light of exactly like who you are. So if you could look at today and think about, what is it that I want out of today? And it may be that you want to try something for the very first time. There's something that you've got to do, a conversation that you've got to have, a place that you've got to go. I mean, even my life in Poland is when Polish people invite us over for dinner. It's the thought for me is, I used to be a peanut butter sandwich only girl. Like that was what I lived on. And I come to Poland, and all of a sudden, life is different. The way they entertain, the way they eat, what they eat, how they serve it, not speaking Polish, all of these things happen. So when we get invited to someone's house, it's always the very first time, right? Even if I've been to their house again, I actually am going to eat whatever they're going to serve for the very first time, because it's not something that I would cook. And there are many times that I've gone to someone's house where I've been like, oh, please, I want to be transported. Please, Scotty, for those of you that are Star Trek fans, please, Scotty, beam me up, kind of thinking, where I have no idea what's on the table. I'm not even sure how I'm gonna navigate this. But you get through those moments, and the way now that I get through those moments is I'm really honest. That was a revelation. I'm really honest about look, I have no idea what you have on the table here. And forgive me, I'm not sure that I'm going to try it or not. But it may take me a few minutes to wrap my head around that I'm eating. I mean, I don't know, some of these things. Well, I'm not a fish eater. So, like fish and jelly, like I don't even understand it. And I know that it's healthy for you. I know there's a lot of collagen in this jelly, la-di-la-di-la. But, or raw meat, like they eat this stuff called steak tartare, which looks like ground hamburger, and they put a raw egg on top of it, and then they mix it up on your plate, and you're supposed to eat it. And I just have to laugh at these moments when I'm put in situations where I've never navigated this before, and it's constantly how am I going to show up? Like, how am I going to still make this host or hostess feel, like I'm grateful for them taking the time of something that I'm not even sure that I can try, because my brain, everything is shooting off in my brain of danger, I shouldn't eat this. No, so that's like a really small, in the scheme of life, that's like a really small thing. But I'll tell you, these relationship things that we have can set us off course if we don't have our boundaries set, if we don't know who we are, what we stand for. Those kinds of things can really set us off, and really set off so much anxiety that we end up not even being present. So if you were to look at what you want to get, like how you want the outcome to be of today, or that thing that you want to try, like what do you want to happen, and what's the one thing that you could commit to doing today, just today, the one thing that you could commit to doing today that would be a vote in the right direction of where you want to head. So if you have a goal, for instance, a dream that you'd like to unfold, it's most likely not going to, like poof, you're going to take a magic pill and all of a sudden, oh, life has changed. Because I mean, simply that's just not how it's just not how it happens, right? But if you had this image of, a goal always comes with, if you could take apart the pieces, a goal always comes with, there's something that I have to do differently, or there's a way of being that I have to be that I'm not now. Because otherwise, if I was that already, then I would have that thing or that experience or that relationship. So there's something about me that's not that person. So if you look at that outcome that you'd like, or that thing that you want to unfold today, or toward that goal, what would that one thing be that you could commit to doing? And let me tell you, the smaller the better. If you could take that one thing and then break it down into 3, 4, 5 different actions, then, and put them in chronological order of how you think that this unfolding should happen, then you get to experience little wins along the way. And it may seem ridiculous. It may seem like, oh, that's too much work, I'm not going to do that. Well, the opposite of that is you get to stay stuck, and you get to keep your excuses going. So you, again, as we always do, you have a choice. Do you want to stay where you are? Or do you want to take those small steps and create some movement? Because all we're trying to do is to show our brain, our subconscious, we're only trying to partner with our subconscious and show it that we're serious and that we're okay with this and that it's okay that I'm trying something new. We're just trying to create some movement in small increments so that we can then celebrate the wins before you go to bed tonight. Notice what you did and go, wow, I made it through today. I did that thing that I said that I was going to do. And now tomorrow, I'm going to set off on a new journey. And so it's like, it's a way of I like to, I travel a lot and I feel like I'm constantly packing a suitcase, which my goal is to not have to take a suitcase with me when I travel. Like that's my goal. Anyway, if you could think of this as unpacking, like you're sitting on this suitcase that's stuffed full of clothes and things, but that's your life. You've got a suitcase, you're sitting on it, and it's just bursting with past experiences. And some of them are dirty. Some of them are hanging out and they're dirty, and you're like, oh God, I remember that. I remember that conversation. Some of them are like lovely. And you get a feeling of satisfaction when you look at it, and you'd like to put on that piece of clothing again. But there's more dirty stuff hanging out of the suitcase than there are clean things. And that dirty things are the ones that you notice. But if you were to actually open the suitcase and unpack it and be present in what is it that brings you joy? What is it that made you feel really good about yourself? Who were you being when you had that lovely piece of clothing on? Who were you being right then? Because you were a different person and you thought differently about yourself. You felt differently about yourself rather than the time when you had the dirty clothes on and you fell in the mud. You were saying different things to yourself and about yourself when you fell in the mud. So if you look to this suitcase and you turn your focus from the dirty things that you are freaking out about that you've got to get into the laundry, and turn your focus to this beautiful blouse, for instance, that you love and you constantly get compliments on, and look at what would that person do today that would move her in the right direction toward her goal. And when I started my first business in 1996, when I was having trouble naming it, and I was having trouble naming my corporation, because I have a corporation that's the umbrella for everything that I do. And one of the other merchants in the neighborhood that I was in, the shopping district that my store was in, because my first business was a retail store. She came in and she said to me, don't name your company by your name, unless you're going to put LLC behind it, or incorporated, or worldwide, or international, or global, because you want to feel that you are the CEO or the head of something, instead of being vulnerable, instead of having yourself like just be out there. And she said, I often talk about this too in my workshops, is the dream team. Create your dream team and look at that dream team, those people that you want in your life, whether they're dead or alive. Look at that dream team as your board of directors, so that everything that you want to do in your business, you've got to refer to your board of directors. And you can say that to people. So if for instance, a lot of nonprofits would come in and ask me for donations, and you can only do so much, right? And it got to the point where I had to choose. I had to say no to some people. I had to say no to some organizations that weren't in alignment with what I would normally support. So instead of me going through the trauma or the negative self-talk of, oh my God, I got to refuse them, it was this isn't financially in the best interest of my business, because of my board of directors and I have decided that these are the things that we're going to support. So I had to level up how I viewed myself, and it was brilliant. So maybe that would work for you. Maybe in doing something for the fucking first time, that you look at it as, what would my board of directors have me do? What would, if as the CEO of me, what would I have me do? So that, as nurturers, we've spent so much of our life taking care of other people, doing things for other people, working for other people, constantly, taking care of others. So sometimes it's just difficult to do something for ourselves. So take yourself out of that altogether and level up yourself. So what I did in regards to that was I actually created a logo. I created a logo with letterhead, and everything that I did went on that letterhead, so that I was, in a sense, kind of working for, still nurturing, right? I still got to be in the nurturing mode, but in reality, I was nurturing myself. I was becoming that person that I wanted to be, just because of a little logo, a little thing. It was an icon, you might think of it as, that I created to kind of trick my brain into believing that this was part of my job or part of my responsibility because I had to answer to my board of directors. I had to answer to the CEO of the company, which was me. So where can you say yes to something that you wish to do? Where do you get to say yes? There's a great book by Shonda Rhimes, Shonda from Shondaland, who's created Grey's Anatomy and Bridgerton. And I mean, I don't even know how many other shows she has running right now on Netflix or on TV sitcoms. She's a brilliant writer, and she wrote a book called The Year of Yes. And if you're struggling with saying yes to yourself, then grab a copy of it. The first chapter, I'll preempt that by the first chapter or two are really slow. She's kind of setting the stage for her year of yes. But get through those first two chapters, and it is a brilliant read about getting to yes. Instead of having this thing that we want to do for the very first time stop us, then back that out and look to where you get to say yes. Like when can you give permission to yourself to say yes? Because again, if you had the thought, if you had the dream, that was meant for you. It wasn't meant for you to give it away to somebody else because somebody else really doesn't want it because it's not for them. But what is it that you can say yes to in small increments by breaking these steps up really tiny? Where can you get deliberate about your actions? You know, I think that because we as women are nurturers, natural nurturers, even if we don't have a lot of empathy, like I'm not a very empathetic person. You know, if you fall down, scrape your knee, okay, there's some blood, let's put some Band-Aid on it and let's get on with it. Like you know, like I know you're hurt. It was traumatic. You fell off your bike for the very first time. And I know that that's scary, but just because that happened doesn't mean you can't get back up on your bike and do it and get on with it, right? But as women, we and as doing something for yourself, especially if we don't tell anybody. So you have a goal that you want to let's see, change professions. You have a goal that you want to change professions, and there's something that you have to do. You have to learn something. You might have to take a class or two. You might have to go out and network. You need to speak to somebody that's in that genre of work. But you don't tell anybody about it. And because of that, you get to say, oh, I don't have time for that. Oh, I'm too busy. So you come up with a list of reasons why it's just not the right time. But if you became deliberate about your actions, if you stated to yourself that whatever this is that you are seeking, if you stated to yourself as though it were a present truth, then how would your day be more intentional and deliberate with your actions? because that takes out the FFT. That cancels it out. Can you, do you feel that? That if you become deliberate and intentional about your actions today, that it cancels the anxiety or the fear of the FFT out. Because the suitcase that you're sitting on with the dirty clothes, the more dirty clothes than the more lovely clothes, is you're focusing on your past instead of what your future holds. And your past certainly has lessons for us and is in no way meant to stop us. But we've internalized these messages so much that oftentimes that's how we view it. So my suggestion is shit happens to everyone. You're not alone. You never are alone. And it's about time to stop cheating on your future with your past. And what if you could look at this FFT as a dress rehearsal or a practice? Because a lot of times when we're on the journey of our FFT, there's something that we want, but in actuality, as we're going down that path to get that thing, that person, place, or thing that we say that we want, sometimes as we go and we grow, because every step that we make toward that thing, that goal, we also are growing. We also are unfolding. We also are becoming a better version of ourselves. And sometimes this end goal takes on a different kind of look. Like when you go to university and you are studying one particular thing, for instance, I want to be a lawyer. One of my clients in Poland, this was her thing. She, growing up, she had always said that she wanted to be a lawyer. And when she got there, she was working for this very prestigious big law firm and hated every moment of it, but felt that she needed to do it because of her past. Because that's what she said that she wanted when she was in high school and then into university. And she felt that she was overcome with confusion, doubt, and fear because she hated what she was doing. She wasn't serving the people that she wanted to serve. She wasn't doing the things that she wanted to do. She wasn't spending her time on the things that meant anything to her. And as I talked to her about it, the unfolding of this was that she allowed herself, because she hadn't set boundaries, she hadn't defined what her values were, she actually went to work for the wrong firm. When I said to her, let's talk about this firm that you work for. What are their values? What do they stand for? what are the organizations that this company supports through its CSR, the Social Responsibility Act that most corporations have today? What are they supporting? And when she looked at that, she realized that she went to work for this company because it was a prestigious company, instead of, was this company in alignment with who she was? And so she had to readjust, get more clear, become intentional about what she wanted out of her career as a lawyer. And once she started defining these things and getting deep, cutting it down into tiny pieces about what she really wanted to do, who she wanted to serve, what she wanted to be doing all day, it became very clear to her that she was simply in the wrong organization, and set out on a path to find that organization that aligned with her values and her core beliefs. And she ended up working for an international nonprofit organization that was around children and their well-being. So it wasn't that she had, like totally lied to herself about her wanting to be a lawyer. It was that the lawyer was the big thing. But when you get down to it, how can you break down what that defines? Who that company is, how I want to show up every day, what do I want to be doing, how do I want to spend my time, who do I want to spend my time with? So no different than when you start out on something for the very first time. Just because it didn't turn out like you thought it was going to, that's the perfect time to take a step back and go, what wasn't I clear about? It doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It just meant that you didn't lay the foundation of getting really clear about what it is at the root that you wanted. What is it that after you unpack the suitcase, what's left after you unpack the suitcase? What do you then want to put in the suitcase after you've unpacked it and you've observed and thought about all this dirty laundry, all these experiences that represent each piece of dirty laundry? And then you look over here and you unpack the few pieces, or the one piece of clean laundry, or that blouse that brings you real joy. If you take all of that stuff away and you have an empty suitcase, what is the first thing you're going to put back in it? What's the one thing? And how small can you make that one thing? When I was the last round of vision board workshops that I did, I think it was in January, I think. On my vision board, I like to put words and images in one section of my vision board that makes me feel uncomfortable, because I'm constantly trying to level up myself. And one of the words with images that I put on my vision board was luxury. because I don't, I, I, I had a vision of what a luxurious life looks like. But that luxurious life came with a big house and a pool and some people to take care of this big house and this pool. And you know, it came with stuff. And I'm not really a stuff person. So when I began to look at that word luxury in regards to how I want my life to unfold toward how I want to become this next best version of myself by inserting that word luxury into my life, is how can I look at luxury as a freedom? How can I look at luxury as the freedom to refuse to live by habit? So where can I reimagine that word and look at it as a way to up-level me as a person by refusing to live by habit? And I had to set out on a journey, because when I actually put it on my vision board, I was like, I had to then grab a piece of paper and start journaling about what do I look like and what do I feel like when I view myself as living a luxurious life. And that, for me, living a luxurious life is stopping my habitual thinking, my habitual ways of doing things. So what does, for you, what could a luxurious life mean to you? If you were to up-level you, what would you add into your life that would be a luxurious move? Something that might give you freedom, something that might make you more confident, something that might make you feel proud or giddy about yourself. So like where can you add that into your life? So I'm going to share my screen because I have let me see where it is. This right here. Let me see. Let me move this down. Let me move this around here. This is a worksheet I have that I can put in the email that I send out when we're over here. This is called the Wonder of Obstacles. And the Wonder of Obstacles takes a look at one thing. What did I want? What did I say I wanted? For me, I want a luxurious life. I have not yet defined that. Do you see what I'm saying? What I wanted, step 2, why I gave up. And it's like a simple unpacking. Back to the suitcase. It's a simple unpacking. Why did I give up? And what could I have done? So in me, looking at this word luxury, what I wanted, a life of luxury, what the hell does it mean? I haven't told my brain what luxury means to me and how I wanted to insert luxury into my life. Because it wasn't about the big house. It wasn't about the pool. I have actually I don't have any interest in that. What does it mean to me? Why I gave up? I didn't define it. I wasn't clear. I didn't break it down into bite-sized chunks. I didn't describe it. I didn't define who I was in the what I wanted. Because every step of the way, you're changing. And what could I have done? What could I have done? Defined it, gotten clear, became intentional. Take 100% responsibility for my actions. And that's 100% responsibility for my actions. That's a tough pill to swallow right there. Because it's easy. It's really easy to say, oh, it's raining outside. I can't go and do something, right? My suitcase is too full. I have too much dirty laundry here. What could I have done? So I'll put that in the email with the notes. You don't need the sheet. Again, these sheets kind of help me to define and become intentional, because it's easy not to do this work because it's easy. And in reality, it's hard as hell, because it's hard to look at and say, oh, shit, I did give up. Damn it. Or to look at myself and say, what could I have done? Not my team, not my husband, not my daughters, not my clients. What could I have done differently? And now when I go to start the what I wanted all over again, then it's different. And you may have to go through this a couple of times to get the what I wanted done and part of you. But if you take these things that we want for the very first time, as simple as a word as luxury, if we take these things and we go through a process of what is it that I want, and get really clear about it in the moment instead of staying clear on your present, and not worrying about your past and bringing that stuff with you. That serves no place in doing an FFT. It serves no place in getting us out of habitual thinking and habitual reactions. If we don't take the time to, do you have a question, Terry? Sorry, you're muted.
I wrote it in the chat. I have to leave. I have another Zoom that starts like in a minute.
Super.
So I'll look at the recording. I'll look at the email.
Awesome.
I wish
Thanks.
I wish we could discuss, but I can't. I'll have to see you.
No worries, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. So all I'm suggesting is that in order to get through an FFT and the anxiety and the stress, the embarrassment, the thoughts of less than, whatever those thoughts are, in order to get through the FFT, all I'm saying is that maybe if you take a step back and go to the defining mode of what is it that I really want? And break this down into breathable bite sizes. I'm not saying that it's going to be smooth sailing, because when we try something, we try something for the first time, it's never a straight line. It's always this. However, what I am saying is that you'll get to uncover or unpack a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of gems about yourself that are waiting there to be discovered in your suitcase. So, Laura Lee, do you have any comments or questions about this?
Yes. And I like how you said, not smooth sailing, not a straight line. And then you complimented it by, but you will uncover these gems. And so that kind of sung to my heart. But I never am very conservative, but in the back of my mind, I said, okay, well, I'm going to do this thing. And I like the thing about the logo and the board of directors. Mm-hmm. But in the back of my mind, I never do this. I said, what's plan B if it fails? And I got to hang on to that for now. Maybe in the future, I'll have enough confidence where I don't need a plan B. But I think financially, I think it's better to have that plan B in case, and that's just my safety net. But I like it how you unpack the gems. I like it how you empty out the suitcase and then put just a very teeny bit what you need back in there. I liked how you said about luxury. I don't want to clean a big house. I don't want a pool. I just want very minimal, no landscape to take care of. So very, very inspiring. I just feel like I could do it. And so I wrote notes on today, what I'm going to do to take those teeny little steps,
Awesome. Terrific. Yeah. So as I was preparing for today, I didn't want to focus on, even though today is about the FFT, I didn't want to focus on all the stories that we've got that come with the FFT. I wanted to focus on like this worksheet of, so if there's something that I want to try for the very first time, I've got an obligation, no different than if I was in school or if I was, like on a sports team and I had to practice, like every day you practice. But we never do that in real life. And especially women don't practice, because what do we ever do? We know we're just in servant mode or giving back mode. But what if we did look at these first time that we're doing something as a practice? And how would you begin a practice? You know, you go to yoga, you go to yoga class, you go into yoga for the first time. You don't go to the intermediate class. You go to the beginner class. But where in our life, when we want something or have a dream about something, do we think that we have to go to the beginner class? I'm comparing myself to other people. I see other people on social media that are already there, and I want to be there. And we forget that we have to go to beginner class first. And that there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, if you skip beginner class and go right on to intermediate class, there's a whole bunch of stuff about you that you're not going to learn. And somewhere along the line, that's going to come to bite you in the ass. Because by missing these steps of uncovering this, what is it that I want, really getting clear about it and intentional, then more often than not, we're going to give up. So it may seem like more work, but in reality, for me, as in this word luxury, it became like more powerful, attainable, and kind of almost forces me, if this makes sense, almost forces me to be present, because I have to notice. So my thing is luxury means to me freedom of habitual thinking. So it's forcing me to be present so that I can notice. And it's just a notice, because then I get to look at, so what can I do? But that's not going to happen if I'm not present. And when we spiral out of control with our FFT, it's because we are not present. We're back there somewhere. And all I'm suggesting is that you either take a deep breath, you go for a walk, you turn on a meditation, you just get centered again. And possibly go through these questions of what I wanted, why I gave up, and what could I have done? What not should have done, but could have done. And then just look at it without judgment, without criticism, and start again. So next week, let's see, what do we have going for next week? Downsize to right size, decluttering. That's a good one. Decluttering our space, decluttering our mind. It's always good. It's always good. So thank you for showing up, Laura Lee. And for all of you that are going to listen to this recording, Let me know in the comments what your FFT is, because I would love to support you and help you define what it really is that you want and help you to get present. So thanks so much. Bye.